Nick, I'll start with you. Why did Dallas lose this game to the Packers yesterday?
Well, they didn't come out ready at all. I mean, the first 4 minutes of the game, they looked ready, forced a 3 and out. They're moving the football, and then the moment that ball went off Amari Cooper's hands, what could have been a touchdown turns into an interception, Dallas folded. I mean, they were down. I understand they made a valiant comeback late to make the score respectable. They were down 31-3 in this football game. That game's over at 31-3. You would have to match the greatest regular season comeback in NFL history if you're going to come back from that moment. So how did they get down 31-3? Dak's right. He had 3 picks. And even if we want to say the first one was not his fault, that one right there definitely was his fault. And the third one, yeah, they could have called pass interference. Maybe they should have called pass interference. But he also threw a pick in the end zone that got wiped away because of an illegal contact penalty. Once again, the Cowboys show absolutely no ability to win a football game if Zeke doesn't play well. Now 1-8 if Zeke doesn't rush for 75 yards since he's been there. And the lack of Tyron Smith was enormous. Cam Fleming was getting dominated by Zedarius or Preston Smith, whomever they lined up on the right side of the defense, left side of the offensive line, and that led to the Packers' defense being able to tee off on Dak. And even though the Packers' offense was shorthanded, they were able to move the ball enough early to where they could coast home late. This is the concern for the Cowboys. Was, yeah, you were 3-0 to start the year against teams that are combined 2-12. And now the last 2 weeks, you've played teams that are combined 8-2, and you were dominated defensively by New Orleans. You were dominated for 3 quarters in both phases by Green Bay. Sign of bad things for the Dallas Cowboys these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, this was a tough one right here. It's tough to figure out because you would think, in listening to Dak's comments, that after the New Orleans game, that would have been a wake-up call. I don't know what they had accomplished because I guess the question was, were they feeling overconfident? He said, were we smelling ourselves? I don't know what they had done to make them smell themselves. Like, who had they beaten? What quality team? What great run had they been on? What type of records as a team have they? So for me, like, this is a young team that's still trying to learn how to win and how to be a championship team week in and week out. You have to be able to give Green Bay credit, though, because after a game that they gave away against Philadelphia where they got manhandled, they came out and got some respect back in this game. Green Bay has played well with Aaron Rodgers head-to-head against Dak. So I'm not surprised that Green Bay played well. I'm just surprised that Dallas didn't have an answer. And as Dak said, when you turn the ball over like that, regardless of what your numbers are, you're not going to win.
And when the game plan usually revolves around running Zeke, but you're down 28 points, you know you can't use the run game to get you back into a game like that. How concerned are you now with the Dallas Cowboys after they lost back-to-back games? You know what their competition was in the beginning. You know what they've been in the last 2 games. Is this all balancing out, or is this the real Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean,
team?
to me, the Cowboys through 5 weeks of the season look like a 9-win team that might win 10 games. You beat the bad teams. You struggle against the good teams. And you know who else thinks that might be the case is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones said after the game, we've played, he said, 2 teams that have it together, and we didn't look like we had it together. At this point in the season, you can start to evaluate teams not just based on their record, but against whom those wins came against and against whom the losses came against. And if you're Dallas, you have to be greatly concerned that once again, you were in a spot where the defense said, we are not going to let Zeke beat us, and Dak couldn't take advantage until it was too late. I understand Amari ended up with a huge game, maybe his career best game, and that Dak threw for a career-high 460 yards. But a lot of those are hollow numbers when you make the mistakes Dallas made early to put themselves where they're playing catch-up. And the moment Green Bay is up 4 touchdowns, they're playing the clock. They're no longer playing Dallas. And this was on the other side of the ball, Green Bay moving the ball the way they did, see Aaron Jones having the best day of his career against that Dallas defense that at least against New Orleans, the Dallas defense could say we played well. That's a concerning sign as well for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas's linebackers didn't play well. If there's 3 things that I took from it with Green Bay, Aaron Jones had a tremendous day, but his longest run was only 18 yards. People would think that he had a run for 40 or 50. Tremendous running back if he's given the opportunity. And I think Green Bay, they fell into that because Williams, if he's not knocked out of the game, they were rotating. They were splitting carries. So Green Bay got lucky and got very fortunate in that. So I was surprised how bad the linebackers played. I'm surprised that Dallas's passing game isn't better. I would say the first 2 interceptions were the wide receiver's fault. The first one, Amari, the ball could have been a little bit in front of him, but you're always taught as a wide receiver, if I'm going to miss the football, all right, I want to miss the football going down. I never want to pop the football back up in the air because nothing but bad things happen. On the second interception, there was no separation between the wide receivers. Dak did eyeball the wide receiver, and the undercoverage was able to come off and intercept it because you got 2 receivers at Dallas that are sitting right next to each other. So those first couple, I thought at this point in the season they would be throwing the ball a lot better. But you can see the lack of continuity because some of the guys, Michael Gallup, he's been out of the lineup. He's still not a deep threat after getting knee surgery 3 weeks ago. And then ultimately, with 2 offensive linemen out, there's no team in the NFL that's a good team with your left tackle out and your right tackle out. So for me watching the game, those are the 3 things that I say that Dallas, I was shocked about, okay? I'm shocked about the injury standpoint. I was shocked their linebackers. And at this point, after spending time talking to wide receiver coach Sanjay Lau, he thought that their passing game, and we saw signs of it the first 2 weeks of the season, it was going to be at A-plus form. They don't have an elite passing game at this stage of the season.
All right. Time now for Put a Grade on It, sponsored by CarMax, and we're sticking with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers finished with 238 yards, no touchdowns, but no picks. Nick, put a grade on Aaron Rodgers' day yesterday.
I give him a B+. I thought he played well, particularly in the first 3 quarters of this game, and given the fact they didn't have Devontae Adams, he still clearly doesn't have a ton of faith in these receivers. Those receivers had 5 catches total, but he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't take a bad sack until the very end of the game, and now the Packers sitting at 4-1 through a very tough first 5 weeks of the season. I give him a B+.
Yeah, I got to give him an A because he got this team off to the right start. They had a great game plan of how they were trying to attack Dallas. He was going to spread the ball around, and early got a lot of pressure on him. He was able to get out of a number of bad plays potentially there for the Packers. I'm going to give them an A. They dominated the Dallas Cowboys. Man, what a great game plan coming in and out. So I believe that Aaron had something to do with that.
Yeah, the narrative coming in all week was he had no one to throw the ball to, nobody was healthy, and then they came out early and they dominated. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.